one move away from having $100,000 in business credit, business funding available to you. One move away. And that might just be having something to do with your utilization, with your credit, and or just knowing the right information. I want to share that information with you right now on exactly what you can do to be able to level up and to get in place to where you can position yourself to get access to 100K, 120K, 150K in 0% business funding and in the next 30 days. So we're going to go on with this, and I want you to put your questions in the chat because I want to get you equipped to be able to do what you need to do. Again, what would you do if I told you that you could access without having to submit tax returns, without having to submit bank statements, without having to submit business revenue, that you could access $100,000 in business credit at 0% interest for in the next 30 days? And what if there was only 1 to 2 moves that you're missing? And a lot of you watching today are because you have utilization issues on your personal credit cards, and that's holding you back, and you might not have the money to pay everything down. What if I told you that you could be able to shift that over to another place where you do not have to pay those down, but you could actually position yourself for funding without having to pay down your balances? What would that look like? All right. So this is a critical point, right, for you to understand, and I want to make sure that you are educated and tapped in. I want to get this information out to you as quickly as possible, and so that you can be equipped to push this thing forward, right? So let's go. So number one, why is this? Why are we using this business credit? Like, why is this important? And again, I want you to put your questions in the chat. Why is this business credit important? Because when you use these business credit balances and these cards that we're going to access at 0% interest, what's up, Tim? When we use these cards at 0% interest, these do not impact your personal credit at all, right? So if I've got a $25,000 business credit card and I'm using 25,000 of it and it's 100% utilized, what happens to my personal credit? Absolutely nothing. How do I know this? It's because I got business credit cards, 20,000, 50,000, 40,000. Over the course of the past couple of years, my wife and I have obtained over 500,000 in business credit that we've been able to use towards all sorts of things. Empress, what's going on? Empress Drea. So we've been able to use that 500,000 towards all sorts of things. And some of those cards have balances and different things we've been doing in business. And some things have gone well over the past 4 or 5 years. Some things have gone not so well. So some of those balances we have to carry. But the last time I looked at my personal credit, it was literally 842, 850, 847. So that personal credit can be totally separate while you make your moves on the business side. And this changes the game entirely. And it's literally just a matter of knowing what are the pieces that need to get put in place so that you can access this. It's a formula. Once you know the formula, you can access it. And once you can access it, now other people can access it around you. You can start to build up. You can start to level up. And this can add up very, very quickly. All right. What's up, Skinny Jeans? Good to see you. All right. So this can start to add up very quickly because now if we start to think outside of the box, right? We start to think outside of the box and say, okay, what if this is not just me, but if I'm following this blueprint that Kyle is laying out, that if I got 2 other people together, right, that got 100,000 each, now we got 300,000. If I got 5 people, and happy holidays to you, Skinny Jeans. If I got 5 people together, what would that look like? All right. So now we got 500,000 in the next 30 days. If you just follow this blueprint, right? Unapologetically, thanks for the share. Appreciate you guys. And let's get into this, right? So I want you to put your questions in the chat. What do you feel like is holding you back from this? After all the information that I have shared, what do you feel like is still outstanding? What's your reason for not moving forward? Because I want you to know that there's very few things that are roadblocks to this, and it's literally just a matter of time, right? So if you follow the formula, follow the blueprint, and once you get started, you can follow it, and then once you're there, within 30 days, again, one of my recent clients, from the time that she booked a call with the team to the time that she had $100,000 available to her, 90,000 to be exact, for her real estate business, was about 22 days. So you could literally be sitting on this right now. So I want to go through the blueprint. I want to show you the exact sauce with no gatekeep, so that you know exactly how to go about this and what steps you might have to take. And you might have a journey ahead of you when it comes to building up your credit, your profile, or maybe removing some negative items. But all that is totally possible. All that can be done. All right. So I don't want you to fear or worry about where you're at. You just need to think about, okay, if I put in work now, that this could be, I would say worst case, a year from now, you can do pretty much anything in a year, right? With getting some help. However, some of you might be 6 months away. Some of you might be 90 days away. Some of you might be 30 days away. Some of you might be 2 days away, like I'm about to share, right? So please share this with somebody. I had to make sure that my wife is taken care of. Baby girl is down. So I just carve out a little time this evening to share this info. I want everybody to elevate and to be encouraged and empowered with this information. So this is why I'm here sharing this freely. Like I said, no gatekeep. I want you to know the exact sauce, the exact things that you're going to need to be able to do this. And a lot of times you don't know what you don't know. So I'm here to expose you. Again, put your questions in the chat if you have questions about what it is, like how this can apply to you. And if you don't do anything else, then I do encourage you to please book a call with a team, right? Go to fundingmyfuture.net, fundingmyfuture.net, or you can DM me or send me a text actually at 240 240 640 and 240 240 6402. You can text me and I will get you tapped in directly with the team. All right, get you tapped in directly um, so you can get your exact situation laid out, right, for your next step. To say, is my next step with my credit, or is my next step with my funding situation, or my LLC, or my entity, right? So I see, is that Ivy Biz Boss? Let me know. Credit card maxed out at a 590 to get to the credit card down to 30% in 2 months. What can be done? Ooh, let's talk about it. Let's talk. Let's talk. This is exactly what we're saying. This is the one thing, Ivy Boss. This is the one thing, or Ivy Biz Boss, that is holding you back, right? If we check all these other boxes that I'm about to share, as far as what does your personal credit profile need to look like, right? But if your credit is maxed out, right? Here's the thing that you might not know what you might not know, and you might not even have to pay anything down in order to shift that. Right? I'm gonna lay it out for you just because you asked. What is the sauce on that? Please, this is a great time to share this with somebody. You guys, share this live. Hit the like button. Share a gift if you got something that's interesting to you or that is enlightening. But here we go. So you have to understand how credit works, right? So your credit score is based on your credit score is based on your revolving credit utilization. So that's your credit cards, right? So if you say your credit cards are maxed out, that's why your score is down, right? They're all maxed. Okay. So how do we get them down? Now, what your credit score is not based on, please write this down, you guys. What your credit score is not based on is um your an installment product, right? Installment loans. Right. So what are those? That could be like a personal loan, it could be a debt consolidation or things like that. So all we would have to do is literally shift over from the personal credit cards over to an installment instruments. How do we do that? Right. So we could get in the next 24 to 48 hours. And again, if you're working with the team at fundingmyfuture.net, or if you send me a text and I'll get you the link, but if you're working with the team, then we can tap you in with these types of loans that may not be obvious to people, you know what I mean? Or we know about how to apply for them to max out the results, right? So this is what we can help with. But in the next 24 to 48 hours, you could get a personal loan to cover your credit card balances. And once you get that loan and you pay down the balances, the debt didn't change, right? So there's no like additional money that you had to pay. You're leveraging the bank's money in the form of this personal loan. But because it's not a revolving credit card, this is why now your utilization drops down to zero. What's going to happen next is your credit score jumps up through the roof. So that 590 that you're at, you would be able to turn that around, and that would change probably, if you're maxed out, that would probably change 120, 150 points, right? And now what happens next? This is the best part, because even if you stop there, you'd be in a better position because you'd be paying less interest. Typically, these personal loans are cost less in interest than credit cards, right? What's up, Derek Johnson? I'm gonna get to you in just a second, right? As far as your questions, right? But if you're typically you would have a credit score that changes, right, when you have that utilization shift. But again, because this is an installment product, this is a personal loan, then this shifts things over completely, right? So you'd be paying less, but the next thing we can do, if that's the only thing holding you back from funding, now we can get you tapped in with $100,000 in funding, 120, 150, 80,000, 50,000. And now you can effectively take that business credit and liquidate a portion of that into cash or do a balance transfer method. And our team can advise you on that to be able to now pay down and pay off that personal loan, right? So let's say we had $10,000 in our personal credit cards, just for numbers, and then we got a $10,000 personal loan and we paid off those credit cards. Our credit score jumped up. That's step two. Step three is now we get business funding, 100K, 120K in the first 30 days, right? Once we're lined up. And then Don Black, how can you join? You need to go to fundingmyfuture.net. Go to fundingmyfuture.net, or you can text me at 240-240-6402, right? And that's the fastest way to get tapped in with a free consultation, right? But what I was saying, here's step three. So we get that funding and we can liquidate that into cash in a way that does not show up as a cash advance. So this shows up as a regular purchase. So that means it's at 0% interest, right? You're not paying the high fees. There's just whatever transaction fee that you have, and that's it. So now what do we do? We've gone from our personal credit cards where we're paying 25 to 29% interest all the way down to, guess what? 0% interest on that business credit. And because the business credit, as I told you, does not report to the personal profile, so that means that balance, that debt, is completely off of our credit report. Is completely off of our DTI, completely off of everything, because we paid off the personal loan. And this is on the business credit side. Now the question is, with whatever I have left on my business funding round, what am I going to do to use that to be able to make new money? And speaking of which, if you don't have an idea of how you're going to make new money with the money that you get, leveraging the bank's money to say, okay, if I gave you $70,000 in cash, could you turn that into 90? Could you bring back an extra 20? Could you bring back an extra 30? Could you bring back an extra 10? If you don't know what you would do to do that in the next 6 months or the next 30 days, then you either got to start researching, or this might not be for you. If you have an idea of what you would do, like if I had that money, this is how I would turn it. This is how I would add it into marketing. This is who I would hire. This is what mentorship I would join. If you have an idea of what you would do, then you need to be pushing forward with this, because this is very accessible to you, right? So again, for Ivy, Biz Boss, that was for you and your question. Again, put your questions in the chat, you guys, but that was for you and your question. What can you do with that 590? That you can turn that around, like I said, in the next 2 days, and then however long it takes for your credit card statements to report, that's when you can turn that around. Just with that one shift. Again, not if you have the money to pay it down, then great, pay it down, right? If you don't have the money to pay it down, you don't have to pay it down if you just shift it over to the right thing, and now your credit reflects, and it's a complete game changer. All right, so I'm gonna go through and answer the rest of these questions, right? So Derek Johnson is still around. What's up? So you said, what if your credit is low? All right, so we want to know, why is your credit low, and what can we do to address it? So if it's just your utilization, I just told you the hack of the century to be able to deal with your utilization. All right, and there's multiple ways to go about that, but you could totally do that. Now, if your credit is low because of derogatories or charge-offs or different things like that, then we need to get it addressed and taken care of. Late payments. And this is, again, if you tap in with the team, we can help to remove things from your credit report and to optimize your credit report to look at like what needs to go in there for you to actually get funding. So both of those are really important. Some people only deal with one side of that, where they'll just sweep everything off your credit report, and you might have a nice credit score, but you don't have a good profile, right? We're going to talk about the difference between credit score and profile tonight, right? So if your credit is low, now, Derek Johnson, here's the other thing. I'm going to just jump straight to the sauce for you. Here's 2 other ways you can leverage this information once you know exactly how to how to structure a personal credit profile, and what your business entity needs to look like. Once you know this information that I'm about to share with you, you can leverage this in two other ways, right? If your credit is low, what are you going to do? Number one, here's what you can do is the requirements for somebody that to qualify for this. You're going to know the requirements. So the next thing is, if it doesn't have to be you, it could be somebody else. And in the form of what's called a credit partner. Please write this down, you guys. And again, please share this. Share this with somebody, right? Hit the like button. Because this is powerful information. Somebody could stumble across this and change their life. A credit partner is somebody that has this credit profile. They have the credit profile, they're not doing anything with it, and you partner with them, and now we get them funded 100K, 120K, 150K, either on their own LLC that we can guide them to set up, or add them to your operating agreement, right? To your operating agreement as a partial owner, right? On paper to begin with, and then you can do it like that. So that means that you sitting here now, even if your credit is not great, you could still access 100,000, 120,000, 150,000, 80,000 in the next 30 days if you just think out of the box and think, okay, who am I going to partner with to do this? Because if you have the means to execute, 47, thanks for the follow, appreciate you. If you have the means to execute and you know what it is that you're going to do, then the money should not be the problem. The money is there, and I'm showing you how you can get to it. So that's the number two way to be able to leverage this information. Either you're sitting on it and you can move forward, or your credit is not there and you can leverage a credit partner. Derek Johnson, thanks for the follow. You can leverage a credit partner. That changes the whole game. This could be a family member. It could be somebody in your community at the church. It could be somebody that's in a mentorship group with you, and they might have the desire to do this, but maybe they don't have the time. Maybe they got a solid job and they're busy. They got kids, but they don't have the time to do all this stuff, right? To execute. But like, I'm ready to execute because I'm on late night on a Sunday learning about information. I'm ready to execute, right? So Derek Johnson, you said just utilization is holding you back. Yep, Derek Johnson, I would suggest you get on the call with the team, right? To say, okay, what's the fastest way to take care of this? Like I said, if you got the money to pay it down, you can pay it down. But what's the fastest way to take care of this? All right, so let's go through it. Please put your questions in the chat. I'm gonna zip through the questions. I want to go through this blueprint of exactly what you're gonna need to be able to get to access this funding again. To have what does it take to have 100K in the next 30 days, right? With no tax returns, without having to show business revenue, without your business being open for a long time, without having to have a paydex score and business credit scores and vendor accounts, without having to have any of that. All the excuses, right, are gone. So Ellison, how long can you revolve debt on credit cards? Let's say I have 5 high limit credit cards. When you say revolve debt, does that flag you with the banks? Are you saying like shifting around debt from one credit card to another? Let me know if that's what you mean, Ellison. If so, I would say that as long as it's showing up properly, then that's one thing. But anytime I embrace some of these like little tricks and hacks to shift things around, I always go back to, okay, what can I do to make money and add value to the world? Because the sooner you do that, and the sooner that you get income coming in at a higher clip, then all of those issues go out the window. As far as like, okay, I got to shift these things here and all these the different things to do, right? But as far as I've seen in my experience, it doesn't necessarily cause an issue with the banks if you're doing it the right way. And again, if you are going to do that, I would suggest you stay in touch with the team. That's what I would suggest in order to know the best way to go about that. Again, if you're just joining in, and if I happen to get cut off, if my daughter wakes up in the middle of the night and I got to go up and the live has to end, if you don't do anything else, I would suggest that you book a call with the team, a free consultation call where you're going to get value. You're going to get your next steps laid out, whether that's with your credit or whether that's with your entity, or, to talk about funding, to say, okay, what am I going to need to do to move forward? You need to book a call with the team, right? 240-240-6402. You can also text me, and I will get you tapped in with that. All right. So let's keep going with the questions. Just want to make sure we're getting all our questions answered. All right. So we talked about low credit, right? Yep, definitely Don Black. So make sure you're tapped in, right? Uh T22, first time. Let's talk. What's up, Lance? What's up? What's up? If you're still tapped in, I see you. All right, here we go. So let me know what your questions are. Right. Good to have you here. And I will just share another thing real quick is, the reason I'm here, like I said, the reason I'm here at this time of night, I'm on the East Coast right now, so it's past 1. And the reason I'm here is to be able to share this information with you. I believe in abundance. I believe that if I give you the sauce, enough that you can run with it, you decide who you want to work with, that's fine. If your life is improved and if you can get towards freedom faster, then that's what I want, right? I want you to be able to get into your God-given purpose. I want you to be able to have the tools and the resources to be able to fuel your dream or your business, because business at its core is really solving problems, right? And helping people in one way or another, right? Especially if you do it the right way. So how can you get into more of that? And this is one of the fastest ways with the least restriction to be able to access, again, 100,000, 120,000, 80,000. I want to show you how to do that. Right now, if you decide to work with us, then that's great, right? Even better. But like I said, I believe in that abundance, and for that reason, this is why I have also committed myself to make sure that the next generation is more equipped than we were coming up. So for that reason, I have decided to donate and reinvest a portion of my profit to a fund that's going to be helping young entrepreneurs to get into business, to get into real estate, to get into investment, to financial literacy, into wealth creation, so we can change the generational wealth landscape across the board. All right. So if you're working with me in any capacity, then know that that is a part of the equation, right? And that's kind of what makes the difference for me, is that I want to make sure that I'm giving back. And it's not just because I have a ton of money to spare. I just felt like God was telling me, like, you need to start this off, not trying to gather everything up for yourself. Let's start off with giving, and then I will make the rest work. Right. So that's just a personal thing, but I wanted to share that with you guys. Right. Chanel Monet, thanks for the follow. Appreciate you. Levette, appreciate the follow. And thanks for the gift too, Levette. All right, so let's get back to your questions. Again, we're talking about what is the blueprint. I'm going to share it very soon. What exactly do you need to see in that personal credit profile, right? What are the things that you don't need to worry about? What do we need to see in this business entity, structured so that the banks are going to see it, right? Derek Johnson, 240, 240, 642. So that's 240, 240, 6402. If you need to text me, just text me. I'll send you the direct link. If you want it, it could be just as fast. You can just go to fundingmyfuture.net or hit the link in my bio, and you can get straight there and get a call book. If you text me, I can send you the direct link to sign up with a free consultation call. Again, share this with somebody, you guys. Share this with somebody. Hit the like button. Thanks for the gifts. All of that tells the algorithm that this is good information and needs to get out. And again, somebody could stumble across this and change their entire situation. All right. So put your questions in the chat. Here we go. So let me see. Yeah, where are we at? I'm just making sure we got all the questions. All right, so here we go. Yep. So Ellison says the most important part is meeting the minimum requirements. Right. It is important to know those requirements and know what those are. Appreciate you, Minnow. Thanks for the gift. So Ellison said you're coming out with an app next week that shows how to structure your business. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. All right. So how are you going to get a loan that is based on your credit if your credit is low? That's a great question, Derek Johnson. Again, this is what the team is about to walk you through. But how do you do that? Now, here's the thing. Here's why this strategy works, Derek Johnson. Here's why this strategy works. I don't know if Derek is still on, but for the sake of for everybody else that has the same question, how can I get a personal? I just shared the hack with you. Is we need to find a way to get this credit off of your revolving accounts and onto an installment instrument like a personal loan. How am I going to get approved for a personal loan when my credit is low because my utilization is high? Now, you can't get it from everywhere. However, because this is a part of the strategy that we're executing, right? This is not just a one-off thing. It's a part of a strategy where we're positioning ourselves to get business funding. So because of that, we don't necessarily care about the type of personal loan that we get. So that means that now we can open things up to things that traditionally would be, if you're smart, You say, okay, I'm not going to get a loan from somebody that's going to have a super high interest rate or from like a subprime lender, right? But there are lenders out there that will give people that have lower credit scores personal loans and loans and things like that, right? And that's going to have a high interest rate. But guess what? If we're going to get business credit after, if that was the last thing that was holding us back, and now we're going to get business credit, $100,000, 120, 150,000, $200,000 in 30 days, then we can pay off that personal loan. Now that personal loan didn't matter if it had a high interest rate because it never actually really impacted us that much. Now we're paid off. Now we're moving forward. Let me know if that makes sense. Again, I don't know if Derek Johnson is still on, but Derek Johnson, you need to be hopping on the call. So Ellison says you can get your business structure strong enough to get funding without having to co-sign. Ooh, okay, aka a personal guarantee. All right, Ellison. So here's the issue with that. That is a real thing. However, it depends on what type of funding are you talking about, right? And if you don't want to have a personal guarantee, and there's a lot of talk about this, right? How do I get into this without having a personal guarantee? All right. And that's cool and all. However, if you think about it from the bank's perspective, right? If I'm going to give you a $50,000 card, $20,000, 25, 10,000 even, if I'm going to give that to you, and there is no recourse, right? If it's only on the business, if you were to close this business tomorrow, I have no recourse, right? They're going to be obviously a lot tighter with that than if they knew that something was backing it, right? You need to bring something to the table. Either we're bringing our credit to the table, either we're bringing cash to the table, which means like business revenue and income. And if you got 50,000 a month or 100,000 a month, you can bring that. Then there's a lot of stuff you can do there, right? Or I'm bringing collateral to the table, which means I've got real estate, I've got properties, I've got life insurance, I've got a stock portfolio, different things that I can bring to the table. But what I'm telling you is if you structure your credit right and bring this to the table, this is the fastest way to get into high limits to begin with. And here's the other thing, and just in response to Ellison, here's the other thing is that if we want to do no PG funding, this is the best way to do it because we set our business up on the strongest possible foot to be able to get no PG funding because now our business looks like it's handling a lot of money, right? And that sets us up to have higher business scores and things like that later on the back end. So what do I mean by that? If you go and you structure your business now, it depends on what you're trying to get. So I'm going to break this down. Depends on what you're trying to get. If you go and you do what a lot of people say and say, I'm going to build up my business credit scores, my paydex score, my business experience to be able to qualify for stuff. Now there's certain things that you can do. Like if you're getting an auto loan and that's what all you need for your business, then you can do that. You can set it up. And there's certain ways, if you go with the right route, certain ways to be able to get auto loans with just a business. It's only your EIN. You're not personally tied to it at all. Cool and great, right? However, if you're trying to get like cash credit, like lines of credit, like credit cards and things like that, that's going to be severely limited as far as what you can access. You might get 5,000 here. You may get 10,000 here after a 90-day, six-month process. And after you got to pay for a lot of different things to add these accounts and these trade lines and do all this different stuff. It's a long process. Again, nothing against it. However, as you're going, when you start that process, you're going to be getting vendor accounts. And this is what you'll hear. You got to get a Uline account. You got to get Quill and you got to get Granger. They're going to give you these limits of $500 limits. They're going to give you $1,000 limit. They're going to give you a $800 limit for these net 30 terms, right? So that it's fine because you need trade lines on your report. However, the problem is that the amounts are so low, right? That when it comes time to get other types of funding, then they're going to be based on these low comparables. Now, if you instead leverage your personal, right, your personal credit profile, like I'm about to share the exact sauce on how to do it. But if you leverage that personal properly, and we're saying we're getting you again 120,000, 130, 150, 200,000 in the first round, which means that you've got different cards from different institutions that might be $25,000, $10,000, $40,000, right? 20,000, 50,000. And those cards are showing up on your business credit report. So when someone looks at your business credit report and they see these lines, which are financial trades, which are more powerful really than anything, financial trade lines on your report, and it's got 20,000, 50,000, Now, when you go to get business credit and try to build it up on its own, you're starting on the foot of, oh, my comparables are 50,000. My comparables are 20,000, 10,000, 25,000. And that sets you up on the best path possible to be able to even build that into the future. All right. So I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, like how powerful that is. Because again, a lot of people that are so fixated on, I don't want to use my personal credit at all, right? And I would say that you need to focus on building up your personal credit, because guess what? Everything is better when you do that. All your expenses, your interest rates are all going to be lower when your personal credit is solid, right? Your opportunities expand. And when you combine that with leveraging business credit, now you can make your moves in business without having to impact your personal score. Right. And this is, again, when you have that, we're saying this removes all the red tape. You don't even have to have business revenue. You don't have to have the tax returns. You don't have to have a lot of time in business. It removes all the red tape. And in the next 30 days, you can access $100,000, 120,000, 150,000, 200,000, 80,000, whatever it is that you need for your business at 0% interest for the next 12 to 18 months. And you can repeat that process. This becomes a non-ending flow of funding that you can access when you have this one thing set up. So people are running around in circles trying to avoid personal credit and personal responsibility and personal. Just leverage it, right? And use it properly. And once you get in there, the accounts do not show up on your personal credit. Right. So let me clear this up for anybody that's not clear on this. Again, you guys share this with somebody. I've paid a lot of money for this information, right? And I've studied a lot, and I've done a lot as a client, and I've done a lot when it comes to just helping people. And as a mentee, I've been studying this, right? And I want to share these gems and this stuff with you for free tonight, because I want you to push your life forward. Right. This is one of the fastest ways to get into high limit funding, again at 0% interest, and you can rinse and repeat this process every 6 months. 6 to 12 months, right? At minimum. There's other strategies where you can go in between and do that even more, but you can repeat it. So once you have it set up, now it's an almost endless cycle. And again, once your business gets set up with those high trades, now you're setting that up for even higher limits, and then even more opportunities when it comes to no PG funding, right? So I had to go on that. So T22 says, I have absolutely no credit. What card would you suggest I go after that'll guarantee to accept me? So that's a good question, T22. So I would suggest that you book a call with the team, fundingmyfuture.net. And you guys, if you're just joining in, if you don't do anything else, I need you to go to fundingmyfuture.net, or you click the link in my bio and book a free consultation call. Or you can reach out to me if you got a question, or if you want me to send you the link directly. 240-240-6402, right? 240-240-6402. And I will send you, as soon as this live is over, I will send you the direct link that you can get tapped in, right? I want to go through and get your questions answered. All right, put your questions in the chat. All right, Omar Safi, thanks for the follow. Yep, Dr. Rodeo, thanks for the follow. All right, here we go. So yep. So what card that will accept you? T22. If you have absolutely no credit, you need to start building up your credit profile, like with certain accounts, to just make it as robust as possible, so that when you do go for your first card, that you have the best chance possible to get a high limit. Right now, there's probably going to be certain credit unions, right, and certain local banks that are going to be a lot more lenient and give you higher limits. So, for example, like Navy Federal, if you get in with Navy Federal, you can get a higher limit if you establish certain relationships with them, right? Even if your credit is not necessarily high, but if you play your cards right, you can get a $10,000 approval for your first card, 20,000, 15,000. It's very possible depending on your situation, right? So here we go. So great info. Taylor says, however, no one wants to take a risk on you to transfer that debt with high utilization, period. No one wants to take a risk. Oh yeah, Taylor. So we just talked about that, Taylor 11. Let me know if that's cleared up. I know I'm going back through the chat. Let me know if that's cleared up. Somebody would take a risk on you. They're called subprime lenders, right? They say, hey, we'll lend to you, but it's just going to be a high interest rate. But because they don't know that we have this strategy that we're implementing, that we can do it. And again, you don't know what you don't know. So because we're helping people with this all the time, the team knows of different sources that we can get these types of loans, especially for a temporary period. So let me know. I'm gonna zip through these questions. So 47 says, I just got an LLC on new business and I need credit and a loan. All right, 47, let's talk about it. Because your LLC needs to be structured in a certain way in order to get the max possible funding or to get approvals. Because if it's not, you might be looking at some denials, right? You might be looking at low limits. So 47, I would suggest you send me a text or tap in with the team, fundingmyfuture.net, and get a call booked, right? Because if you need credit and a loan, now I'm telling you about this 0% business credit stacking method, right? This is what we're talking about right now. However, there are lots of other ways to get funded, and our team can help with all of them, depending on where you are. So if you have tax returns and if you can bring other types of collateral to the business to the table, or you can bring a lot of revenue to the table, and if you have the business plans and all that stuff, then we can line you up with business lines of credit, right? With SBA loans, with unsecured loans, with vehicle financing, equipment financing. We can tap you in with all of that. However, I know not everyone is in that place. So the good thing is, whatever you need, even if that's help with your credit or help with the entity structure or help with the finance, portion, whatever it is that you need, we can start you out. I'm just telling you that the power of the 0% method is very, very impactful, and you need to know how to leverage it for yourself and again for your credit partner. And here's a third way that I didn't share. Here's a third way you can be leveraging this information right now. Again, I'm going to go through the blueprint on exactly what you're going to need, right, to be able to tap in with this. But here's the third way you can do it. You could, since you know and you're about to know the exact profile that someone's going to need, you could be making referrals to people that need funding that have this profile, and you could be making $1,000 a pop, $2,000 a pop, $2,500, $3,000 a pop. Not far-fetched for literally just submitting someone's name, waiting, and then getting paid out. It's as simple as that without having to lift a finger. And I just had somebody recently who sent me a referral, and she was super pregnant. She might have had her baby by now, actually. She was super pregnant and, wasn't really thinking about any of this stuff. And 20 something days later, I had sent her a PayPal for $2,252 for one client. Now you do the math. Could $2,200 impact your Christmas or your next year? If you did that once a month, twice a month, if you put a little effort into it and could come up with once a week, right, that starts to add up. All right, Taylor, examples of subprime business loans, right? Subprime business loans, One Main Financial, all right, Happy Money. There's again, there's a lot of different ones, and the team is going to know based on your situation, based on your state, based on your profile, which one is going to be the best for you. Olivia's dad, thanks for the follow. Which one is going to be the best for you, right? But there's lots out there that will fund you. Again, you have to know how to apply. There's a lot of stuff that you have to know. So again, you can take this information and run with it, but the best chance that you have at having success is really tapping in with the team. Right. So so let's go through. Here we go. Yep. Juan P, thanks for the follow. Yep. All right. So Swansea Bella, ping pong. Is there any funding that will check only business personal credit, but not personal credit? Any funding that will not check? Yeah. So it's like, so here's the thing. Even when you have no PG funding, even when you have no PG products, which means like you don't have a personal guarantee, and the only way this impacts you is if you were to disappear off the face of the earth, right? You're not paying any payments for 90 days. You're just in full default. This is the only way that this impacts you. All right. So if you're not ready to execute to the point that you're not going to be in full default, then again, this is not for you. Now, if you're going to do no PG funding, they're going to look at your personal credit profile to give you the terms and the rates that they're going to determine, like the limit, the what rate you get, your interest rate. They're going to base that on your personal profile, even if they approve you and then you do not have a PG at the end of that process. So let me make sure that's clear. You're going to be using your personal profile in one way or another, right? 99 times out of 100 when it comes to getting anything that's like cash credit, like a credit card or a line of credit. They're going to be looking at that until and unless, like I said, you set up your business in a certain way and you can leverage this in the future, but they're going to be looking at that either way. So even if you have no PG, then you can do that. Now, there are ways, there's a million ways to get funded, you guys. So you want to educate yourself on grants if you're doing something that's helpful, on CDFI, write that down. Community Development Financial Institution, right? CDFI. So if you're doing stuff like that, that's helpful for the community and whatnot. Bam Senior, thanks for the follow, right? Eon Sovereign, thanks for the follow. So if you're doing stuff like that, there's different ways to get funded, right? But like I said, once you leverage that personal credit profile, it's something that just doesn't go away. It's something that you can leverage like forever. And it's like an abundant resource for you to be able to continue to do it over and over and over. All right, let's go back through the rest of these questions. Let's make sure we're tapped in, because I'm about to share the exact blueprint. What are you going to need in that personal profile? Again, if you want the shortcut, just tap in with the team, right? Get a consultation book, a free consultation to know your next step. This might be, what do I need to do to fix my credit, or to improve my credit, or to start building my credit? Or if my credit is solid, what do I need to do to get funded in the next 30 days? Right? Don Black, appreciate you. I'm glad to be here to be able to share this knowledge. Right? Like I said, no gatekeep. I want you to be equipped. Now, once you have this information, it is going to make a difference who you work with as far as the outcomes. Because what I'm telling you, you will be lined up to be ready for funding. But I've seen with my own eyes, depending on how you go about it or who you work with, some of those approvals might be a lot different. So company A, like somebody got an approval for $4,000, $3,000, which is cool. You can do a lot with $3,000, $4,000, but literally the same card, same situation, but under different instruction, we got $28,000 on that same car. So $3,000 versus $28,000. Massive difference. And that starts to add up, right? And some of those situations, or I'll give another example. It was like an $18,000 approval from Chase that somebody got, and then we got $50,000. So, and this is how this can be a big difference. So like I said, and if you decide to navigate this on your own, I respect those that want to do that. I'll just encourage you. The best way to move forward in life and business is under the consultation of somebody that knows what they're doing. So that way you can eliminate all of the roadblocks, eliminate all the headaches, all the bumps and bruises, as many as possible. It's going to be hard enough just to execute business, but learning all this stuff, it's a lot. It's a lot to figure out. All right. So here we go. Let's go through the rest of the questions. Put your questions in the chat. All right, here we go. Yep. Can I pin the number? Yep. I'm gonna pin it. I'm gonna pin this number in the chat here. 240, 240, 640, and 2. All right. So if you need to text me, if you need to reach out, feel free to hit me up. All right. And I can give you the direct link to get your free consultation call. All right. Kwabena Mickey, thanks for the follow. All right, here we go. So somebody said they created an LLC about 3 years ago. Yep. The older your LLC is, the better. All right. So if you have an aged LLC, that's great, even if you haven't used it. But we can create an LLC right now and still get access to this level of funding. Again, this removes all the red tape. Just B, thanks for the follow. This removes all the red tape, all the excuses. It takes all of it out with this particular strategy. All right. So Kwabena Mickey says that you have $10,000 cash in your savings account. Any business advice so your money can grow every month? All right. So this is an important point. So if you want your money to grow every month, are you talking about like an investment? How fast do you want it to grow? All right. Because if we're doing things that are going to be generating income and adding value at a fast rate, then that's one thing. If we're talking about, okay, I want it to grow every month, but by how much? Because there's investments that you can do that are going to be long-term investments. But if you put it into business where you're adding value to people, and the more people you can add value to, the faster you can do that, and the rate of return is a whole nother world, We're talking about what you can get from business. We're talking about 100%, 200, 1,700, 5,000% versus a 10% or 15% investment. Right now, no shade. It's all part of the strategy. No problem with 8% investment if it's stable, and but you just got to think about what kind of time do you have, and what's your timeline. Like, what are your goals? What's the outcome that you want? All right. So let me know. Again, Levette, thanks for the share. Appreciate you guys. Saif, thanks for the follow. You the champ says you just need PG for everything. There is no PG method. All right. So there is a no PG method. I'm just telling you that is severely limited. And the mindset behind no PG, again, to a degree, it makes sense. All right. I don't want to be attached to this. I can navigate and do, and when you're at that level, okay, that's cool. I'm gonna do a business with the business. If something goes wrong, close the business down. However, if you think about it from the bank's perspective, they're going to be very hesitant before they do something like that. Right. Taylor, what are the office hours to contact the team in the time zone? Right. So you can book that consultation call right now. You know what I mean? You can get on the books. So, and you can text me whenever, right, at that number. But typically it's going to be probably like 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific. But you don't have to worry about that. Once you get a call booked, you'll get your consultation, and you'll get going. All right. So here we go. So Ill Will says you have 3 derogatory, 1 repo, 13 inquiries, and a new LLC. All right. So now's the time to get started, Ill Will. Now's the time to get started in addressing that. So again, if you tap in with the team, we can help to remove the derogatories, to deal with the inquiries, and to get you set up. And then while you think about these other factors in this blueprint that I'm about to share, think about those other factors, and then you're ready to go. So again, today is always the best day to start, because the credit stuff takes time. It takes time. If you're doing it a compliant way, and not doing any underhanded stuff, the credit stuff takes time. if you're doing some of the shady things, and you can do it in like 2 days or 3 days, but there's some wild stuff that I've seen out there people doing. Right. And that's not really what I subscribe to. Taylor 11, thanks for the follow. That's not really what I subscribe to, right? But it's going to take time. So that's why if you start today, again, those derogatories, those accounts, all that stuff, the increase, just start today, and you're going to be in a better position sometime from now to be able to, again, what's the end of this rainbow? We're accessing $100,000 at 0% interest without having to submit tax returns and bank statements and business revenue and time in business, all of that. 120, 150, 200,000. Right. So this is powerful stuff. So if okay, I just need to get this stuff dealt with on my credit, just start today with it. And I will tell you, it's going to depend on what you have in your credit, but I know a lot of people are doing that. We have like payment plans and things like that. So it's very affordable to be able to just start. All right. So again, I would suggest that you book a consultation call, fundingmyfuture.net, or send me a text at 240-240-6402, and I will send you the direct link. All right. Here we go. So, yep, real estate communities. Taylor 11, let me know when you say real estate communities. I'm going back through the comments. All right. When you say real estate communities, what do you mean by that? Anybody have any questions? All right. ICT says, how do I get business credit? Let me know. This might be a good time to go through the exact blueprint if you guys are still tapped in and you've got your pins out, got your phones. I'm ready to share the sauce if we're ready to go into it. As soon as I clear these questions, how do we get business credit? It's going to be your personal credit profile, knowing what the banks are looking for, and then know what the banks are looking for with your business entity structure, how it's set up, how it looks on paper. Once you have those two, then you're solid to get business funding. Now, again, how much funding that you get and what kind of approvals that you get is going to vary based on the approach that you take or who you decide to work with. I can only vouch for myself and for the companies and competitors or whatever the case that I've seen in real time as far as the pros and cons of those things. So I can only vouch for that. But I can tell you, once you're set up, we can get you $100,000 in 30 days. 120, 150, 200,000 in 30 days, right? Do we instruct you on the ways so you can make money from the funds that you borrow? Yes. Here is another benefit. There's another benefit, right? Um, this isn't across the board, but I do know for sure, like if, for people that are interested getting a in getting a, I was just looking at one of the other comments, but in getting purchasing a business, right? So our team can help advise on that to say, okay, well, this is the best way to do that, to pour these funds into a cash flowing business so that you can, you know, get into something that's making it 10,000 a month, 15,000 a month, 20,000, 40,000 from day one. Yep, definitely possible. Definitely possible. Um, how to get a new startup LLC business loan. All right. So how much ICT, how much of a business loan do you need? Let me know what type of funds you're talking about. Because again, you can leverage this business credit stack for a lot of stuff. All right. But if you are trying to get like a full-on loan, again, it depends on what type of business that you're doing. Is it something that's helping the community, or that, it doesn't even have to be nonprofit, but is it bringing value to the community? Then there's a lot of options there. If you're just going straight SBA, there's a process. It's just a lot easier, and everything opens up if you either have, if you're established already, you know, things open up a lot more when you have certain things in place for the SBA loan. But again, the thing about these consultations, you guys, is they're customized consultations. So it's going to be looking at your situation, and there's a lot of moving parts. This is why these are so valuable, because your state, your status, your credit profile, your goals, the type of business that you want to do, like all that is going to come into play when it comes to like what's going to be the best thing for you. And this is not a cookie cutter consultation process. All right. This is a customized, like, what do you need? And the relationship factor is really important as well, because we're looking to build a long term relationship, and it's not just a one and done. So we want to be advising you as you grow. Say, okay, now you're here. Now this is the best next thing that you can tap in with, right? These outlets that you can grow with. So it's a very educational process, and to the point where eventually we want you to be able um, to take advantage, right, of some of these other opportunities, and we want you to be able to learn how to do it yourself. All right. So eventually, if you want to take the time to do it, you can learn it yourself and then execute that way. So again, it's all about education and making sure everybody is equipped as much as possible. So that's a big point. So you said you're responding. What's up, Angie Verona? What's happening? Good evening, and good evening, everybody. Thank you guys for tapping in. Right, John Jensen. I see Miss Chris. Yep, Walter Mendoza. Yep. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for tapping in. Like I said, this is powerful stuff. Please share this with somebody. Yep, Edwin, thanks for the follow. And Taylor, you said that you're about community development funding. Yep. Yeah, what would you do? What you would do? So you'd have to position it in a certain way. So if you're doing real estate, right? If you're doing real estate, then you'd have to make sure that what is that real estate? Are you doing like a low income housing? Are you doing like, is something that's impacting the community positively? But you can just look up your local CDFI and contact them directly, and then see what types of things are they funding. And get it that way. Just go straight to the source. Say what type of businesses are you doing? All right. Lance, so what it would take to become a mentee of mine. All right. So you can get on the wait list to be a mentee. One of the best things to do, again, if you get tapped in with the team, that's the easiest way to like just be regularly in contact, because then now we can text back and forth, and I'll be able to help, even though you'll be meeting with a funding advisor or a credit advisor, but I'll always be around to help. But you can get on the wait list for a mentorship. But just text me though. Text me 240 and 2, or 240 Text me, and then we can tap in one way or another. All right, here we go. Who does Wells Fargo business credit pull from in California? All right, so that is going to vary. Right, typically it's going to be Experian, but it is going to vary. So you want to check the latest. And again, when you're tapped in with the team, can help you understand all that because that sequence does matter, you guys. And again, if you're going to tackle this yourself, you got to be very mindful. Each of these little things can cause a misstep that can set things back. It can set things back 6 months at a time because now you got to wait for this thing to season, or if you went out of order, so you can learn it. You learn it as much as you can if you're willing to do that legwork. But most of us really need to be focused on business and saying, okay, what am I going to do to make this money, make new money, to make the money have money babies, right? What am I going to do that? If you don't know that, then that needs to be the focus. And again, this is the first way that takes all the guesswork out. And one of the things that I suggest is always some form of mentorship, right? From somebody that knows exactly what to do, that knows the exact blueprint, that knows the exact team that you're going to need, the exact tools that you're going to need, everything. They know all the stuff and they can tell you exactly what to do. That's the best way, I think, to use some of this funding, is because typically you might not have the amount that it's going to cost to pay for these mentorships and these mentors that have high level information, and they might charge anywhere from $3,000 up to $25,000 to $50,000 for whatever it is. But if they're going to tell you how to make $100,000 a month, or how to make $25,000 a month recurring, or make a $200,000 in a day from these different strategies and things like that, or then it can be worth it. It just changes the game, because a lot of us, you might not have $20,000 saved up to be able to, get started in that way. And this is why this is so powerful, because there's so many people that I run into that's like, I want to get into real estate, but I don't have 35,000 for my down payment for my investment property. I don't have 40,000 saved up. So now I'm going to start wholesaling and doing different stuff to build up my funds to get to that point. Right. Which is, valid to get your, get your stripes as you're working on it. But it changes the game when I'm saying in the next 30 days, I can access 100K at 0% interest. And now that opens up the doors completely. So let me know any other questions. We're going to go through this blueprint for those that are still tapped in. Thank you guys. What would it take to become a mentee? Yep, we talked about that. So if I wanted to get funding for Airbnb arbitrage, how would I word that to the bank to get funded? Oh, this is a great question. Great question. All right. So when we're facing the bank, because I know it's hard to get funding for that. Yeah, for sure. All right. Anything that's real estate investment, and this, we'll just jump to the part 2, just for you, MGN. Part 2 is your business entity structure. Like, what does that need to look like to the banks? So how do you word that to the bank? We want to be as generic as possible, right? And does your blueprint allow me to get funding without a business idea? Yeah, for sure. Yes. And if the business idea is Airbnb, then yes. Now, here's what we're going to do is you're positioning the entity to be as little friction as possible to the bank. So there's a couple ways to go about this. I'm going to break down right now. Please write this down. This is a great time to share this with somebody. Because again, this is powerful information. This can be the difference maker between getting approved and getting denied, or getting a high limit, getting a low limit. All right. So when I go to the bank, there's a couple ways to do it. Number one is, okay, if I have my business that I'm doing, but maybe I have a very, very generic version of the business that I'm presenting to the bank, and then I have like a DBA, like a doing business as, that I'm presenting to my clients. Maybe I have a website that I'm presenting to the bank, and then I have a different website that's my client-facing website. Now, the other way we do this is we just set up a completely different entity that's totally separate, and we use that entity to get funding because it's the way that the banks want to see it completely. So MGN, just a quick example, is if we were to say, okay, Airbnb, are you going to be in any form or fashion and at any point doing like consulting for other people on how to do Airbnb or education or marketing? Then you can position that in some way, right? That I either have an entity, or I'm positioning my business in a way that's in one of these industries that is not a restricted industry or not a high risk industry. What are the high risk industries? You can Google it, right? But typically, depending on the bank, like real estate is typically high risk to the banks. Trucking and logistics, gambling or CBD. There's a whole list of things that are typically higher risk. And those high risk things, it might not mean a denial. A lot of times it does, but a lot of times it might mean just a very low limit approval. So once you get into it, you do all this work and then you don't get the amount that you are actually hoping for. You can't make the moves that you want to make. So I hope that answers your question. We're going to go in detail very quickly. We're going to go in detail on what else does that need to look like? What does your business need to be structured as so it can get the max approval? Right. So let's go through that since we're here at MGN. Appreciate your questions, you guys. And again, share this with somebody. All right, share this with somebody. And thanks for the likes. Thanks for the gifts. All that helps the algorithm know that this is good stuff and it's going to push it out to more people because somebody might stumble across this and change their life because they say, I didn't know that this was possible. I didn't know this was a thing. I want you to be able to know it and I want you to be able to move forward. So let's go through this. Let's go through this business entity structure real quick. I'm gonna get your pen out, get your phone notes, whatever you got. All right, so here we go. So we talked about the non-high risk entity and industry, right? Yep. Make sure you send me a text, right? Or just get tapped in directly with the team. Fundingmyfuture.net or 240-240-6402. Right, 240-240-642. And you can text me, right? So here we go. So the industry is important, but your name is like an indication of what industry that you're in. Regardless of what you have as your official business description or your official NAICS code, for those that know what the NAICS code is, your name is the first thing that they're going to judge you by. So if your name is MGN Airbnb real estate investments, then they're going to, even if you have your business coded as consulting or whatever the case, they're going to assign you as real estate, right? Or as real estate investing, so there's different subsets of each one of these that is, beneficial and not beneficial. If you want, if you need a link to that, I can send you something on that. Text me on that. But the most important thing, like I said, is if you are tapped in with the team, then we can help guide you through, okay, for right now, this is the best setup that's going to get you approved. And again, that right now is very important. And Meekism, thanks for the follow. That right now part is very important. Why? Because the banks change things up like all the time. The government, the country, like things are changing rapidly. So the rules from 2 months ago might not be the same from today. From 6 months ago might not be the same from today. So it helps to have the most recent information. And because we're helping people with this type of stuff every day, we're getting the latest information. So if there is any denial or any change in how people are doing things, we know first. So when you come in, you're going to be getting the most recent information. All right. So again, so your name is going to need to be something generic. What is a generic name? If all else fails, I need a keyword enterprises, keyword group, keyword holdings, keyword solutions. There's some things that are just very, very generic and boring. A lot of us, if you're like me, and Lamayan, thanks for the follow. Let me know how to say that. If you're like me, I was like, okay, I want to think of a really cool and creative business name. Like, yeah, we just need something boring and generic. Now, if you want to have something specific for your clients, again, you can either have a dual LLC or entity strategy, or if you have your entity and then you have the name that's very generic that we're going to present to the bank, and then we just open a DBA under that, and we're going to present that to our clients, depending on how you want to set that up. All right, so that's the bullet point number one is the business name. Really important. Number two, write this down, you guys. What's up? What's up, LeMan? Good evening. Number two. Yep, and just got here. What are we talking about, please? We're talking about how you can access 100K, 150K in business credit at 0% interest for the 12 to 18 months without having to submit any tax returns, no documents, no bank statements. Well, your business doesn't have to be having revenue. You don't have to be in business for a long time. We're leveraging our personal profile to be able to get access to this. And the shortcut to this, favored by grace, is you can book a free consultation call with the team to look at your next step, whether this is what needs to happen with my credit profile or what needs to happen with my entity, or let's talk about how we get funded in the next 30 days. This is a very powerful strategy. This is what I'm talking about. Right. So LeMan, so this one-on-one call, this is the best way to get that. right? Like I said, if you want to connect directly with me, send me a text. That's fine. I might have time to call you. If I don't, the easiest way is to book a call with a team because that's going to be your next step to look at your whole profile and like everything that's going to take. It's like a chess match to try to figure out all the details for each person and what's going to be best for them. Again, this is why we pride ourselves with making sure that people get a customized, a white glove experience. How do you book the call? Again, you can text me, Favored by Grace, 240-240-6402, or you can go to fundingmyfuture.net or hit the link in my bio. It'll take 60 seconds. You can do it right now. It'll take 60 seconds to fill out the little information and then choose a call time. And you're either based on your credit profile, either you're going to meet with somebody that's going to give you the next steps for your credit, whether that's repairing something or otherwise, or you're going to meet with somebody that's going to be talking directly about funding. Say, what do we need to do to get funded in the next 30 days? All right. Here we go. So we're still talking about this business entity structure. We talked about the business name and how important that is, right? T22 says, since these businesses will have a site and social media account, wouldn't the bank see it if it's high? Will they see what if it's high? Let's see what if it's high. So again, with this strategy, and let me know what you mean by that, T22. With this strategy, like I said, we're leveraging multiple entities potentially to be able to get what we need. Right. So we want them to see a business website that looks clean. And we're going to talk about this as part of the structure. We want them to see results on Google. We want them to see, certain things. And we want it to be, again, as generic as possible and as packaged as possible for the way that they want to see it. Once we do that, then we're solid. Now, if we have another version of it that's our client facing version, that's not what we're submitting to them. Yep. So the man says, I have about a 733 credit score. And you want 15K funding. Is it possible? Well, yes, 1000% is possible. Yes, it is possible. However, you need to make sure that your credit score is lined up with the profile needs that we have, because some people have a 730, which is a good score, 720, 750, 780, and still get denied for funding because they do not have this profile that you need. And I'm about to go through the exact thing that you're going to need in that profile. All right. So again, put your questions in the chat. Let's go through. I'm going to zip through this sauce for you real quick. All right. Text me if you want want a copy of this, but let's get some notes out. All right. So number one was your non-high risk business name. All right. Number two, your business address. Write this down. Your business address needs to not look like a P.O. box. So we're going to go into detail on this, but it needs to not look like a P.O. box. Tony, thanks for the follow. All right. We'll zip through. We'll loop around if anybody has questions. You need a business phone number that's dedicated. So not your cell phone number, but you can pay for a business line from Ring Central or Grasshopper or Call 8. These different ones that you can use and get a dedicated business line. Toll free is great. Local is fine too, right? Depending on what you're going for. Now, a business website. This is the next one. A business website and a domain-based email address. So what is a business website? Again, this is something very generic and straightforward. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. Literally just a landing page that has your business name on it. It's got the business logo. If you don't have these things, you can get them created. You can go to Fiverr.com and literally have somebody create a logo or a website in the next, 2 hours for $20, $25, something like that. Totally possible. Or if you do it on like GoDaddy, if you get your domain from GoDaddy, they have AI website builders. Put in some basic information, it'll spit something out for you. That's just fine, right? Very, very simple and straightforward. It's got, like I said, your name, your logo, your business address is on there. Maybe your business, at least your business phone number and email are listed on there, and maybe a description of what the business does, mission statement, something simple. Sharik, thanks for the share. All right. So this business address is really important to make sure that it does not look like a P.O. box, right? We talked about the business website, the domain-based email, no Gmail, no Yahoo, right? We need a domain-based email. So your business info@yourbusiness.com or whatever domain that you got. And thanks for the follow, Sharik. All right. Now, lastly, with that, once we have that, we need a business presence so that your business shows up when somebody looks for it and then makes it look legit and real. Sounds simple, but does your business show up in Google when somebody Googles the name? Does it show up in Yelp? Does it show up in Bing? You can submit your information to these websites so that it shows up. Yep, no problem, Sharik. Thanks for being here. Receiving this knowledge. I hope you will execute on it. And again, if you don't do anything else, get a free claim your free consultation with the team, fundingmyfuture.net, or hit the link in my bio, or you can text me and I will send you the direct link as soon as this is over. I'll send you the direct link. What's up, Alicia Williams? Appreciate the likes. All right, so your business needs to have an online presence. Now, here's the other kicker: is you need to have like in the 411 registry. So you're going to go to listyourself.net, listyourself.net, listyourself.net. Sorry, didn't mean the all caps. Listyourself.net, and you can submit that business information to listyourself.net. Now, I'm gonna do the personal credit profile. We're gonna come back to the business address because we got a lot to talk about with virtual addresses and home addresses and brick and mortar addresses and all this different stuff, PO boxes. But whatever you do, when you submit to all these places, you need to make sure that your information matches across the board, dot for dot, line for line. That means your business name, your business address needs to look the exact same when you have it on your EIN document with the IRS, on your state filing with the articles of incorporation and all that other stuff. When you open bank accounts, when you get a Dun and Bradstreet number, anywhere that you use the address and the name, it needs to be the exact same. So that means like if you got LLC in your name and you put L dot C dot in one and you just put regular LLC in another one, like that level of detail is going to cause a problem because your business is going to show up like it's two different businesses or three different businesses. The more ways that shows up, and then the computer gets confused. And anybody that's into sales knows a confused mind does what? Confused mind says no every time. So this is where you get denials, where you might get loan limits and things like that. So you want to be mindful that it's the exact same across the board. All right. So here we go. So that's the rough of that business entity structure. So I hope that was helpful. MGN, if MGN is still on, I hope that was helpful. So let's talk about this, the sauce for the personal credit. What is that profile that you're going to need to be able to access everything that I've been talking about this whole night? What is the profile that you're going to need? I'm telling you guys, this is I can't gatekeep if I try. This is the exact sauce. Like I said, regardless of who you work with, if you run with this, you at least get funded somewhere. Now, how much you get, I can't guarantee you, but you will be ready. So what is the personal credit sauce? Hey, write this down. This is a great time to share this with somebody. If you've been getting value, share a gift. Like I said, hit the like button. Those are easy things that you can do to be able to tell the algorithm, and it might push it out to some more people, and somebody else might get some benefit from this. Right? We want to share the wealth. Here we go. So number one, for the personal credit profile, write this down. Number one is your credit limits on your personal cards. Do you have at least $10,000 to $15,000 in your personal credit limits? If you add up all your credit cards, the limit is it more than $10,000 to $15,000? That's going to be one of the biggest ones. If that is you, I want you to put a 1 in the chat. If you do not have that, I want you to put cards in the chat. All right, let's see what we're tracking. Can you still get funded when banks see that you don't have a long history of credit? Yes, you can, T22. There are certain things that you're going to have to do in order to, we're going to talk about age, right? In your personal credit, we're going to talk about age, right? So there's ways that you can address that in order to get that history. Now, you're going to need some those credit cards that we're talking about. You're going to need those cards for a certain amount of time. So again, this is why I told you about these other ways that you can leverage this information right now, which means that if you don't have the time in your credit, which again, we can deal with the age, but those credit cards that you have that are 10 to 15,000 in total, and then ideally you've got 2 of those cards that are $3,000 limit or higher each, right? At minimum, this is the minimum. So if you have that, then you're good to go. If you don't have that, then you're going to need to build that up. You're going to need to get your first credit cards, ideally as high limit as possible, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, as high limit as possible. And those cards need to season for 6 months or for a year. All right. So that might not be the best news to say, hey, I got to wait a year to do this. Yes and no. Right. The yes is that year is going to fly by, you guys. Somebody tell me that I'm lying, that you blinked and it used to be January of 2025 and now we're in December about to end the year. Somebody tell me I'm lying. The time is going to fly by. That's number one. Right. Number two is, okay, so if I start this now, I'm working on my credit, but I can also leverage those other approaches that I just shared, because you can leverage a credit partner, because somebody that has this profile that's sitting on it, that's not doing anything with it, but I have the idea for what to do to execute business. Now I can link up with them and we can get them funded under a new LLC or on your operating agreement under your LLC. Totally possible. People do it all the time. Right? If you think out of the box and if you can tap in that way, and that means that you could have access to $100,000 in the next 30 days if you just tapped in with the right person. 120, 150, 200,000, totally possible. Right? Do we provide the partners? No. I mean, possibly, but that's not a common thing. So I would say you would need to make sure that you are tapping in with your networks, right? Like who is it? Like family or mentorship groups or somebody that's looking to be able to do something like that might just be sitting on that profile, because you need to be ready to say, I'm ready to execute. Because what are you bringing to the table? You're bringing the credit to the table, or you're bringing execution to the table. All right. Are you ready to make money on the new money? So that was number one, you guys. So I see some people putting one in the chat and some people put cards. So don't worry where you are. And the other way you can leverage this is right now, nothing's stopping you from referring people that have this profile and making $2,000 a pop, $1,000, $2,500, $3,000 a pop, just from a referral. If you want to know about that, put affiliate in the chat. Or you can text me the word affiliate and put your name so I know who you are. Text me the word affiliate, again, 240-240-6402. And I will get you the information to get signed up with that. If you feel like I could think of one person a month to do that, and I wouldn't mind making $2,500 or $2,000. And if I really put some effort into it, I can do one person a week. Right. And now that's, what is that? That's 8 to 10K a month. I could do 10 a month. You know, do the numbers, you guys. Do the numbers. Right. Ill Will, can we help you get a personal loan? Yes, for sure. 1,000%. We can line you up. We just talked about that earlier as far as different ways to get personal loans. And we are aware of maybe some options that you might not be aware of. So we can line that up. All right. So just want to make sure. Alicia Williams. Yeah, Alicia Williams says, can you get New Mexico funding if your business is located in another state? Yes, we can figure that out. 1,000%. We can figure that out. Yep. Thanks for the gift. Appreciate you guys. What if it's over 35 total in personal credit line, 35K? Yep, you're solid. 35K is solid. So that's what I said in your total personal credit. If you got 10 to 15,000 or more, and the more the better, up to a certain point. Once you get past 100,000, 120,000, they do this weird thing where they will deny you for having too much available credit, which nobody understands, but the banks, have their own reasons. But yes, 35K, you're solid. All right, let's keep going through. Let's keep going through. All right. So is it wise to get an LLC in Mexico 2025 to have the age, since we're going in 2026? Help with funding. Yes, Alicia, let's talk. So the age, right, is important up to a degree. The only reason that the age is important is if you are trying to leverage some of these, there are options for no doc business lines of credit. But lines of credit traditionally, like I told you, our team can help with every type of funding that you can think of practically. I'm just sharing this 0% credit stacking method because it's so powerful, so accessible, and it removes so much of the red tape. But for all those other methods, you're probably going to, one, it's not going to be 0% interest. And two, you're probably going to need to submit tax returns. You're going to need to be in business for at least 2 years, a lot of times, 1 to 2 years, or you're going to need to bring a strong cash flow. 50,000 a month, 100,000 a month, right? And you need to have the tax returns and all this stuff. If you have that, we can line you up with these things. There is a situation where you can use an aged corporation, or if you have an age LLC, to be able to get squeezed in the door with some of these no doc programs up to a certain amount. You might get 25,000 from a bank, or 50,000 from a bank in a line of credit. There is a possibility with that. However, the main way is to be able to just leverage this even without the age. Like I said, we can open an LLC right now. And if we set it up properly, according to what I just told you, and according to this credit profile that we're going through right now, you can get access to 100K, 120K, 150K, 80K, 200K, right? And how long, MGN? 0% interest is typically from 12 to 18 months with the ones that we do. And once you get to 6 months, you can rinse and repeat this process over and over. As long as you maintain that profile and you know these data points, you can repeat it over and over every 6 to 12 months. So now we're stacking up even more and more and more that we can use. All right. So again, what am I going to do with the funding? You don't want to be doing something that's super long term, right? So I'm not going to put the funds into some long term stock or bonds or something that's giving me a 5% your return. 5% return is cool if you got a ton of money and a ton to dump in there and a lot of time to wait, right? But we don't want to be doing that because, again, our 0% period, we want to take action during that. So whatever you're about to do, whether you're in real estate, whether you're in, what are you doing? We want an exit strategy in the next 12 months, ideally in the next 6 months, or even better in the next 30 days. What can I do in the next 30 days? A lot of us that might be doing online business and things like that, could you put that money into ads to get more people into your space? You put that money into help with virtual assistants, to help, you increase your productivity, put that money into AI tools or mentorship. Again, mentorship is one of the best things you can do. JKUS, trying to figure out how to say it. Thanks for the follow. Yep. So all that stuff is really important, right? What's the number again? 240, 642, right? 240, 6402. You guys can message me and I will send you the direct link to get tapped in. Or if you want to know about affiliate, like I said, text me the word affiliate and I can let you know about how to get tapped in with that part of the program. All right. Thanks for the follow. Jeanette Banner and favored by Grace. Thanks for the follow. All right. Okay. So let's go through. So that was number one, right? That was number one. We'll get through the rest of this faster, but I want to make sure your questions are answered. So those that are taking notes, again, share this with somebody, guys. Number one was your credit card limits, 10 to 15,000 or more. Number two, your utilization needs to be below 30% at bare minimum. Ideally, it's below 10%. That's number two. Now, if you have a problem with utilization, I got a hack and some things I can share with you about how we get around that. We talked about that at the top of this call, right? About some really, really critical methods that you can use even without having to pay anything down to be able to deal with utilization so you can get funded. All right, that's number two. So if you got utilization below 30%, I want you to put a 2 in the chat. If you've got it above 30% on any of your cards, any individual card, as well as your overall limits. A lot of people don't know that, right? Your overall limits total, as well as each individual card, needs to be below 30% at least, and ideally below 10%. So I'll put a 2 in the chat if you're solid there. And if not, I want you to put utilization in the chat. All right, I'm waiting for you guys to put in. MGN says, would buying an online business like that's already out, like McDonald's, would that be a business? Yeah. And buying in on business like that's already out, like a franchise? Yep, you could totally do that. Yes. And again, like I explained for somebody earlier, that our team, in addition to the funding service and the credit help, can advise you on businesses that you can buy. Some of that strategy that's been working for other people. That's just a bonus that's kind of thrown in, which is a massive thing compared to a lot of people. Again, a lot of these situations where you might be getting funded, you don't know what's going on, you're not educated at all. It's kind of a one and done. Somebody was talking about how they got a certain amount and then got ghosted by the company. That's not what we're doing. So this is a significant difference. But yes, you can totally buy a McDonald's, right? If you wanted to. Now, if you're buying, let me just break this down. So if you're using like the SBA is going to um, give you 90% of the funds to be able to buy the business, which means you have to come up with 10%. So let's just say that the business or the franchise costs $100,000. I mean, it costs $1 million, right? $1 million for this business to purchase. That means that you have to come up with $100,000. So where's that coming from? Well, if you get funded 100K, 120K, 150K, 200K in the 30 days, once all this stuff is lined up that we're talking about, you can liquidate those funds. You can liquidate 100K of that directly into cash again. And we're liquidating without it showing up as a cash advance, meaning no high fees, no high interest rates, and things like that. Liquidate that to be able to use that as your down payment to get into an SBA loan. Totally possible. And I'm tapped in with some people that have been doing this back to back. Franchises can be a great way for people to get started, because now not only are you not having to start a business from scratch, but you are buying into a system that works if you know how to put the people in place to work it. Right. And again, this is not going to be, yeah. One thing I've learned is like passive income is always like active to some degree. You got to be willing to get your hands dirty when the time comes. And then when you set it up right, then it becomes passive. All right. So if you're willing to do that work, and again, to study and to learn, you know what I mean, to go under mentorship and things like that, it can be really powerful, incredibly powerful, to be able to tap into the right franchise, because now you got a system that works, you know it works, and they're going to be helping you to succeed. And that's a different strategy than just going after like a mom and pop business. That's just, they've been operating it forever, and then you have some ideas for it's already cash flowing, and maybe you can take it to another level. But it's totally possible. All right, market affiliation. Yep. All right, so we left up on bullet point number 2. Those are some big ones, you guys. So the credit card limits and your utilization, big ones. We're gonna keep going. LeMayan says, I want to buy an ecom business where it's done by my mentor. He's doing everything on his end. It's 12K. Yep, 12K. If I get you, LeMayan, if I get you 100K, 120K, 150, can you use 12K to get that mentorship? Yes. And then once you're in there, and again, on that 12K, you're getting points because you're using the card to pay for the mentorship. So you're getting points and rewards on the cards. There's all sorts of benefits. It's at 0% interest, and it's not on your personal credit at all. All right. So you got the 12K. Now that mentor is going to tell you, okay, you probably need to spend on ads, or you need to spend on materials, or whatever it is. And so now whatever you need to do to execute on whatever they say, now you got the funds to be able to do that as well. So that is totally possible. Or you're buying an e-com business, you know, and that's something that they know how to do. Again, you want to make sure you vet people properly. All right. Because the other thing that is dangerous, because this is super powerful, it's also very dangerous, right? To say that, okay, I got 100K that I can use, but if you're not careful with it, you could blow that real quick. And if you tap in with the wrong person, that would be the last thing you want to do. All right. To just use it. Or if you got shiny object syndrome and you're spread too thin, one thing I would say, again, from my mistakes and successes that I would share with you, is make sure that you're focused in, that you have an ROI for every dollar. So if I'm investing into this, you better make sure, what was that? How much was that? You said 12K? If I put 12K into this, I am putting in work until I get back at least 12K minimum. Right? I'm not going to go start some other mentorship or do some other thing. Like, what do I need to do to make this back as soon as possible? I'm going to do everything you said. No complaints. I'm doing everything you said to make sure that I'm successful. All right? Totally possible. Unliked by who? Thanks for the follow. What credit score do you need for an SBA loan? All right. So the SBA loan, yeah. So it depends. 680, 660 sometimes. All right. However, this profile that we're going through is way more important than your credit score. Way more important. And if you're just jumping in, Anitra Love, thanks for the follow. If you're just jumping in, please get your pen out, take some notes, share this with somebody, because this is the exact sauce, the exact blueprint you're going to need in your personal profile. Or once you know this, again, this could be referrals for other people. And you could have a quick little test, Okay, does somebody qualify for this and they could get 120K, 100K in the next 30 days, and you could be getting paid out $2,000, $1,000, $3,000. Totally possible. Lamayan says he scales up to 1K revenue a day, and then we split the profit margin at 30%. Hey, if you, I would suggest find out who's done it before. Who are the students who have done it? Talk to the students and the mentees, and what has their success rate been, right? And just be mindful of that. So if you feel like you vetted it out and it's solid, hey, great. Jeanette Banner, thanks for the follow, right? And Sharik, thanks for the share. If you felt like that's solid, then great. What I have found is anything that you can keep in your control and that you, as a skill set you can learn and do it, then that's all good. But if you found a solid person that's doing that right, and you can verify, like, hey, these other people started from scratch and they're doing this, this, and this, I would just be mindful to not put all your eggs in that basket, because it's good until it's not. And then if it's not, if you don't know how to do it or how to structure it or how to execute it, then sometimes you can be out. Or just a little advice, a little thought. All right, so here we go. So we already talked about number one, 10 to 15,000 in your personal credit limits total, and at least 2 cards that have a $3,000 limit or more. And ideally, you've had those cards for more than a year. That's the third part. That's the biggest one. Number 2, your utilization under 30%. Right? I didn't see anybody that had utilization issues. Like I said, I can share the hack again. We want to talk about it. Number 3, your inquiries need to be below 3 per bureau. So 0 to 3 inquiries per bureau, and ideally as few as possible in the last 6 months. You can write this down. Inquiries that are in the recent 6 months have more impact negatively on the funding prospects and approvals than inquiries that are older than 6 months. So that's something to keep in mind. But overall, ideally, we have 0 to 3 per bureau. So if you have less than 3 inquiries per bureau, I want you to put a 3 in the chat. If you have more than 3 inquiries on any bureau, I want you to put inquiries. And again, that's like we talked about, somebody that was on here that was dealing with, they got 13 inquiries on their report. Hey, it's something we can deal with. We can work with the team to get those removed, or we can teach you how to remove it yourself. Miss Lady, thanks for the follow. Or we can teach you how to remove it yourself. Totally possible. All right, so I'm seeing some 3s. We're solid on inquiries. All right, number 4. We need at least 10 primary accounts in your name on your credit profile. So what are primary accounts? This is your mortgages, student loans, auto loans, store cards, credit cards. All that added up, is it more than 7 to 10 on your profile? And do you have a solid mix of credit? Not just credit cards, but you got some auto loans in there. Do you have some personal? You have some other products in there that give it a good mix. If you're solid with that, I want you to put a 4 in the chat. If you don't have 7 to 10 accounts on your profile, then I want you to put accounts in the chat, because now it's the time to start building up or leverage those other strategies. Join the affiliate and start referring people, or find your credit partner that's going to help you to execute. So I'm looking to see who's going to put 4 in the chat. Do you have at least 7 to 10 accounts, total accounts on your credit profile? All right. Number 5. This is the sauce, you guys. Number 5. Yep, Mino says 4. MGN, so you only have 1 auto loan and like 13 credit cards. So we might have to round that out. All right. So you got a whole bunch of cards and 1 auto loan. We might have to round that out with some other types of things. And again, the team can walk you through like what is the best thing to add if you need it, or if you're solid, we might be able to still get you funded. All right. So again, as well-rounded as possible, but the auto loan does help. If it was just credit cards, that might be an issue, because the bank wants to know that you've been able to manage multiple types. Again, which is why you could have a 750 credit score and still get denied, because maybe you had a bunch of credit cards and you managed them all well, no late payments. That can get you a good score, but it might not get you approved. And this is the sauce that you need to know the difference. Kelly says, best quality research chemicals right from China. So is this your business, Kelly? What you're about to get into, or is this, help me understand this comment? Yeah, let me know. Let me know. Are you advertising your business on the live, or are you talking about the business you're going to get into? Let me know, Kelly, and welcome. All right, here we go. So number 5, the average age of your credit needs to be 2 years or more. Average age of your credit needs to be 2 years or more. Ideally, it's 4 to 5 years or more. The average age on your credit. If you've got more than 2 years on your average age, I want you to put a 5 in the chat. If you've got less than 2 years, I want you to put age in the chat. All right. So we're tracking. We're tracking. All right. Number 6. Here's the last one, you guys. Number 6 is no derogatories. So that means no late payments in the last 2 years. That's the only caveat. If it's older than 2 years, you can squeeze by. No collections, no charge-offs, no bankruptcy. If you've got no derogatories, I want you to put 6 in the chat. If you got some negatives, I want you to put negatives in the chat. All right, so if we're tracking, that's the whole sauce, you guys. It's the whole blueprint. So if you got check marks on all of those, I want you to put ready in the chat. Put ready in the chat if you got check marks on all of those 6 points that we just shared. If not, I want you to put what's the one thing that's holding you back? Was it utilization? Was it cards? Was it inquiries? Was it accounts? Was it age? Or was it negatives? All right. The mind says ready. All right. Let's tap in. It's the best time to, like I said, book a call or send me a text, and I can get you lined up, send you the direct link, or you can just hit the link in my bio. Text me 240-240-6402. What is the thing holding you back? Is it utilization? Is it the cards? Is it the inquiries? The number of accounts? Average age? Hey, you might be ready, MGN. You might be ready. Or you might be just a few steps away. Like I said, either way, now is the best time to get started. Because either you are sitting on it right now, or you just a few moves away. Yep. And again, you can do that super quick. You can do that super quick, where it'll take 60 seconds to fill out the little form that's on the site, and you can get a consultation call booked and go from there. Like I said, if you want to text me, if you got questions, you should be asking your questions now. That's the easiest way. But if you want to text me, feel free to text me. I'll send you the link. If you want to know about the affiliate situation and you think you can be able to tap some people in and get paid out without having to do any work, let me know, and I'll send you the link for that too. All right. So that was it, you guys. So that's the sauce. So we just talked about the personal credit profile, talked about the business entity structure. Now, if you have that personal credit profile and you do not have the business entity structure, because maybe you don't even have an LLC, you don't have an entity at all, or you've got one, but you haven't done anything with it, that part is a little less important, because we can help to guide to say, okay, let's check mark. Let's make sure this is good to go. We can help to guide on that part. So that part doesn't take as long to do. Again, if you've got an LLC that's been open for a long time, then great. We can leverage that. And there's even more things that open up when you have, the more age you have, the better. But we can still, even if your business is brand new, or you just open an entity, or you have no entity at all, it's literally just that personal credit profile. Once we have that, we can line everything else up very quickly. You could be getting funded, like I said, 80K, 100K, 120, 150, 200 in the next 30 days. All right. Appreciate you, Sheree. Would getting any new accounts to round you out affect the credit age? Yes. Yes, it would. Yes, it would. Now, if we talk about age, let's just jump into it, MGN. We're here getting the sauce. Like I said, I paid money, you guys, for this information. And I want you to benefit off of it. All right, share this with somebody. Share the wealth. I paid money for this. So how could you affect the age? All right. So okay, if I need some new accounts, but that's going to change my age. Now there's a few things we can do. There are some accounts that you can get that actually backdate age on your account. All right. So one of those MGN that you might want to look into that does not show up as just a credit card. There's some credit builder accounts and things like that that you use to round out your account. But you also have like these rent reporting accounts where it will report the rent if you've been renting somewhere, or even if you've been staying with family or anything like that. There's ways that you can show that you have contributed or something or have some agreement, and you can backdate that history for a year, for 2 years, for 4 years, for 8 years in some cases, and on sites like Credit Sesame or like um, Rent Reporters or Rental Karma. Right, there's some of those things that you can add to just backdate, and that's a good amount that you can just start. Right, pledge loans are a good thing. That will be a loan product. Like if you want me to explain it, I will explain it. Right, or you can look it up, like a Navy Federal pledge loan, or Andrews Credit Union pledge loan, where you're putting money in. You can take out 90% of it. It's almost like you didn't do anything. And then you're just paying on that 10%. And then that you have a loan on your report. So you can do that multiple times to be able to add some juice to your profile. All right. So there's ways that you can do that. Now, like I said, that wouldn't be backdated though. All right. So, but the way you can do it, if you have everything else lined up and your age is the only problem, here's what we can do is you can add an authorized user trade line to your report. All right, or be added as an authorized user. So if somebody has a credit card that's 20 years old, this could be a family member, right? Or this could be somebody that you don't know that's on a marketplace where you can actually pick these things up. All right, educational guide. Thanks for the follow. All right, so either way, but if somebody has a card that's $20,000 limit and it's 20 years old and they don't use much of it at all, and they add you as an authorized user, there are certain things that get reported to your report that change and improve your credit score and your profile. Now, it doesn't do everything, but what it does do is it impacts the age of your report directly, like it's yours, and it impacts the utilization on your report. So if all of your accounts put together and your average age, so you added a few accounts, your average age is now 1 year and a month or something like that. And you add this 20-year-old card, and now your average age jumps up to 4 years, 5 years. Now we're in the ball game. And you can get that trade line. Typically, it's going to post to your report for 60 days. You get that trade line, and now you're ready for funding, and that's just going to give you that enough of a boost to get you over the edge. And now you're good to go. That could be the thing that changes the game for you when it comes to age. Let me know if that makes sense. Yep, Sharik. When you asked me to explain, you're talking about that pledge loan? Let me know. All right, so that's a big one. You guys write that down, right? Because like I said, you might hear a lot about authorized users, and it kind of sounds like it's a silver bullet for everything. Like, oh, I just add this, if this person adds me, and and then now I can qualify for funding because I didn't have any credit cards, but now I got 3 credit cards on my report that are $20,000 each. Now they're going to approve me. Nope, doesn't work like that. You have to have your own credit cards for that portion of it. But if we're talking about utilization, or if we're talking about age, you can strategically use those authorized user trade lines to be able to impact those 2 factors in particular. All right, Sharik, just because you asked, I'm going to explain this real quick. So pledge loans is a very, very powerful thing you can use to be able to add things to your report, right? So here's the rough of it. I'm opening a savings account, right? Let's just say it's Navy Federal. I'm opening a savings account and I'm putting money into that account. Let's say I put $1,000 into the savings account. And then I go to them and say, I would like to take a pledge loan against my amount that I have in savings. So they're going to basically lock up that amount and they say, I'm going to get a loan for this $1,000, right? So you're going to get this loan. They're going to send you back $1,000, right? And then now you owe them $1,000 according to this loan, even though it was your money to begin with. You owe them $1,000, and now this loan goes on your credit report, $1,000 owed, right? You take that money that they gave you and then you pay back immediately in a couple days $900 of it. So now this loan is 90% paid off, right? You pay back the 900. And once you pay it off, here's the kicker with this strategy with Navy Federal and some of these select banks. They're going to release those funds back to you as soon as you pay it, right? That sounds crazy. They're going to release those funds to you. So that means you get the $900 back, right? And now on your credit profile, you have a loan that is 90% paid off. And then the payment is going to be whatever $100 is divided by however many months you're going to do the payment, right? So it's not going to be a lot, but you just pay that over time, and then you're developing consistency and history on your report. So you can do this multiple times over, and then you can take that $900 that you got back and then do another pledge loan for $900. Just put it in, say, I want a pledge loan for this. It's totally possible, Sharik. It's totally possible. You just have to know strategically whether it's important for you to do or not. Again, I was when you're tapped in with the team, they're going to tell you, okay, this is where your report is at. You might not have to even touch pledge loans. You might have to do any of this stuff. There might be something new that just is recent and say, hey, now we're doing this. This is why I say the most important thing you can do, fundingmyfuture.net, or text me and I'll get you the direct link so you can get a consultation book to look at your situation to say, based on where I am, what is my next step? That's the best thing you can do. However, it is a real thing. It is a real thing to do those pledge loans, right? And there's a couple of different credit unions and things that have that feature where they're going to release the money to you as soon as you pay it back. All right. I hope that's helpful. So, before we wrap this up, you guys, again, I'm super grateful to be able to share this with you, this information. I told you I believe in abundance, so I want to give as much value as I can, regardless of who you decide to work with. I want you to be equipped to be able to get closer to freedom and to get closer to your God-given purpose, and to where you can live your life without having to worry about money, and ideally be adding value to the world and having great experiences. That's what I want for everybody, right? What I want for me too. MGM, appreciate you. Yep, I'll be looking for your text. That's what I want for me too. I'm here to give this value. Now, because of that abundance, I do believe, again, I want the next generation to be equipped even more than I was coming up. So I have committed to donate and reinvest a portion of my profit to a fund that's going to be helping young entrepreneurs to get into business, to get into wealth creation, into financial literacy, into mentorships, so that we can change the generational wealth landscape across the board. And I believe that rising tide is going to lift all boats, and it's going to be great. All right. So again, not because I have a ton of money to spare, but because I feel like God was telling me, you need to start this thing off from a state of giving, and not from trying to hoard everything and trying to get everything for yourself, and that everything is going to pan out and come across properly the way it's supposed to. So that's just my personal approach. So if you're working with me in any capacity, then know that that's going to be a part of the equation, where you can win. I love win-win situations, you guys. And Didi Love, thanks for the follow. If you're the type of person that likes a win-win situation and doesn't feel that someone else has to lose in order for you to get ahead, then I want to be friends. All right. Hustle, hustle, hustle. Thanks for the follow. Yep. Definitely 1000% Sharik. Hey, I started somewhere. There's still a lot that I got to learn. So that's why I don't know what time zone are you in, Sharik. I appreciate the fact that you are here, whatever time it is, pouring into yourself and getting information. You know what I mean? It's all progress. It's all progress. And the information is out here that we can leverage and access. And this is why I'm here sharing it with you, because I want you to be able to move forward, and capitalize on this. Right? Yep. 100%. So you're East Coast like me. Yeah, we're up and getting information, connecting, learning how we can push this thing forward. Right? So I hope this information was helpful for you guys. We talked about that personal credit structure. We talked about that business entity, how that needs to be set up, how the banks need to see that. And even if you don't have all that stuff set up, we can help you to know what is your next step. Stephen Page says you're covering the bills of the first 5 people to message you with the word how. Covering all the bills, Stephen Page. I'm gonna just tell you how right now. Cover my bills, bro. What you got going on? What times am I live? That's a great question. A great question. I come live whenever I'm able to. All right. So I have a daughter that's sleeping right now. She's 2 and some change. And if she wakes up right now, then the live is over. Right. Um, my wife is pregnant. So if she needs something, in short, I will. It's either going to be late like this, or it's going to be in the daytime. But unfortunately, it's not consistent right now. I just come on and share as much value as I can when I can. Right. All right. So MGN. So you guys send a text. Yep. I'll lock you in. Make sure you guys put your name in there too, so I know what your name is. And that so that once you get tapped in with the team, I can make sure that you're in the system. All right. So I don't know if you like that answer, Didi, but I'm here for you whenever I'm able. Again, so if you got questions, put your questions now. Or you can text me. Again, 240-240-6402. You can text me. And I can do my best to answer. But the best thing to do is to book a consultation call with a team. All right, to get your next steps laid out. Hustle, hustle, hustle says, I'm really trying to figure out how to make some money to keep stable. Yeah, listen, mentorship is going to be the best way, right? That exposure. So whatever idea that you have that you're looking to execute, you look at your goals and what your outcomes are that you want, and there's somebody that's been doing it. And this is why I say once you line yourself up with this information, and now you have the funds to be able to put towards mentorship, now you can tap in with the exact person that can tell you exactly how to make the money that you want to make and whatever you're doing. Fulfilled by Amazon, trucking, real estate, online marketing, and webinars, and business funding. You know what I mean? And hustle, hustle, hustle. If you want to talk about how you can make $1,000 a pop, 2,000 a pop, 2,500, 3,000 a pop just by making a referral, right? For people that are in business or looking to that need funding, you can be making referrals right now, right? Affiliate marketing is a major way to be able to make money while you figure out what you're going to do for your own main business. But some people make a whole living just plugging other people's stuff. It's a crazy time that we live in. You don't have to do anything necessarily to just line yourself up with the right people that could be a good fit. And that could be you. You could be making money right now doing that while you figure out what you're doing. But like I said, you need to be thinking about mentorship. Like, what is the reverse engineer? What's the goal that I have? How much do I need per month? How much would keep me stable, in your words? I mean, what is that amount? What is it that I actually want? And then what businesses are doing that? And make sure the maths and everything lines up and makes sense. And if so, then you probably need to be tapped in with a certain community or tapped in with a certain mentor. And like I said before, if you can verify and vet that mentor, that they're successful, that their students are successful, then now this tool that I'm telling you about now can give you the funds to be able to get a front row seat, to get that mentor's personal phone number. So you can ask them all the questions you need, like, tell me exactly what I need to do. And you are determined to execute. It can be yours. It can be yours. I hope that makes sense. Yep. So yeah, I hope this was valuable for you guys. Again, feel free to follow me and tap in for, like I said, whenever's the next time that I'm able to come on. And get your consultation book with the team. But I hope this is helpful for you guys. The reason I push this so much is it's one of the most impactful ways you can get into this type of thing, because it can be so quick and it removes all the red tape, and it allows you to open the doors to push things forward, right? To push towards your goal. And the reason that matters to me is I know that life is not promised, right? Or things can change, whether that even just like your physical life, but just situations change, where tomorrow might not be like yesterday was, and to be able to push towards freedom and to push towards the life that you want is really important, because you never know. Unfortunately, Some of you are like me and have lost loved ones and dealt with things like that, where you get that reminder that, hey, look, this thing is not guaranteed. And I got the call, unfortunately, that nobody wants to get. It was a couple years ago that nobody wants to get. It was late, almost this time, 3 in the morning or something like that. And I got a call and I saw it was my mom's phone number. I said, "Uh, she don't call at this time." And when I heard her voice and you know, a sound that I never heard before, and I knew something was wrong. And she told me that my dad had passed, and it was just like a heart situation. He was fine otherwise, like never any issues, nothing like that at least. And it was just that was it, right? And it makes you recognize that this thing is not promised. So whatever it is I'm going to do, I need to do quickly and effectively, and I need to commit to it. And if you are about business and you're ready to execute, like I said, accessing this type of funding is one of the most powerful things that you can do to push it forward, because it removes all the red tape. It removes the need for having your business open for a long time, or having tax returns, or having a business revenue, like all these things that would seem like you would have to have. Once you know this strategy, you can access it, and then you can literally, maximize and fast track your progress. Right, Shariq? Yep. Shariq, you're feeling me. So, you know how it is. Unfortunately, you know how it is. But, um, again, to me, this is all the reason that it's time to push forward with this. All right. Magdalena said, 1K, you can earn 10K daily. Bitcoin wallet asks you how. Hey, if you got verified, you know, you got students that are showing that progress consistently. Hey, all to the good. All to the good. And the question is, where are you getting that? Where are you getting that from? Where are you getting those funds from to be able to use? And that's whatever it is that you're doing. Like I said, this business credit can be a very powerful thing. Right. So much love, you guys. I appreciate you. Appreciate you spending this time with you. Looking forward to tapping in the future. Again, please follow me if you're not already. And you guys can send me a text, 240-240-6402, or book your consultation call with the team. Whatever your next step is, you guys, the best thing is to get on that call so you can get your next steps laid out, right? Whether that's my credit needs this, I'm going to just start today to just get my credit in order, right? I'm going to just start changing things. Or my credit is solid and I'm just ready to get funded, all right, in the next 30 days. Or you want to know more about it and say, okay, I can think outside the box. Say that I can probably tap in with a credit partner. Somebody was on the other night and it said, I don't qualify for this, but my fiance has that profile. Could we use that? Yep, definitely can. Definitely ways to strategize and do that way. So again, I hope this was helpful for you guys. Appreciate you. I will see you all next time around. And much love. Keep pushing forward. Keep elevating. All right, we'll see you.